everybody. Welcome to Lorcanarama. I'm Kelsey. We got Jake, and Sabrina has a beard and a mustache tonight.
No.
No. For those of you who normally join us, as you can tell, Sabrina's not here tonight. So we asked Andrew Rougarou, who is one of the friends of the stream, who's usually, in the chat each night. So you guys got to take up the slack, because since he's usually in there chatting, right, I need somebody else to kind of pick up that slack in there, right, tonight. So, yeah, man, we're live tonight. Episode 48. We're 2 away from 50, right?
Oh, we're getting there. Oh, my gosh.
2 away.
It's impressive.
Last week I called it episode 48, and I got my numbers wrong. So, but at least I didn't celebrate it as 48. I just got it wrong. So anyways, hold on. I got to fix it. Yep. Okay. So tonight, one of the things we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about the different formats in Lorcana and which way should we go, right? How do we play it? What's our favorite way to play it? Should they be supported? If you've been a part of this game for any period of time, that conversation you have probably had it, right? And so, tonight we wanted to talk about a couple formats because we're right on the heels of a new format being introduced or tested at Gen Con. So we kind of have the avenue for this. And we also just got off of a DLC in Indy in Dortmund that weren't really popular as far as attendance goes, because they were focused on the Infinity format. So, and I've seen videos from some other content creators talking about Infinity and, how it just, well, I'll be careful with my words. It's just bad.
Support might not be there as much too. So there's a lot of different factors with it, but people
can't make me like it. Can't make me like it. I've said it since the beginning.
Save it for when we get there. Hold on. Save it for when we get there, right? So everybody in chat, welcome to the stream tonight. If you do not already follow us, I ask you that you please do so. Just because we just like to see folks follow, and it just makes us feel like, well, we're not talking to a wall, or just each other. Tonight, Andrew's joining us, the Rougarou. So, Andrew, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and your dealings with Lorcana? Go.
Oh, a little bit about me. I started in Ursula's Returns. One of my buddies, he kind of tricked me into coming to the store. He's a really good guy. And I used the word tricked, but I knew what I was getting myself into to some extent. But he was super accommodating. He got me out to the store. He got me some starter decks. He got me some packs and got me hooked. And ever since then, I've been playing and having a good time. Wasn't long after that, our tournament organizer and the person that was coordinating with the store had to step out. And I took over those responsibilities. And I've been working with them and our Gulf Coast Illumineers chat to try to coordinate with multiple stores along the Gulf Coast to try to bring awareness to Lorcana. It's a game that I'm heavily invested in. I think that it has a lot of potential. It's my first TCG, but I am enjoying it thoroughly, and I certainly want to see it continue to be successful.
Nice.
A little bit about me: father, husband, trying to balance it all. Gets to be a lot sometimes, but here we are.
And play a TCG at the same time.
And play a TCG.
If you got kids, you should play one. That's why I play Lorcana, right? I was done with TCGs, but it's Disney, and I got a little daughter, and I was like, hey, we could do this together. And that's what it started off for me. It grew from there, mainly because I like the community so much. It's a different community than other TCGs, right? And
for sure.
And so I like, hey, this is a community I really would be comfortable with my youngest daughter being in. I have an older daughter who's also playing now, and it's a community that I feel like I could send her to a local store, and for the most part feel like the community would be welcoming, unlike other games where I can't honestly say that, right? Especially towards females, towards women and young ladies.
I agree.
So tonight, one of the things we want to talk about is how you keep the game healthy. And the way you keep the game healthy is by supporting different ways of playing the game. We use the term formats. What formats can we play the games? And if you go to, we're not talking about like DLCs or set champs or league play. That's different levels of play, right? But even within those levels of play, there's different ways you can play the game, and the rules to the game are the same, right? The cards still play the same across all the formats. So if you're new to this whole concept of format, we're just talking about different variations of playing the game, or variations of playing a tournament or an event. And so that's what we're going to look at tonight. And we're going to talk about several different formats. And we even got a tier list where we can rank these as we go through them. And I don't even think we're going to rank them. We're going to grade them. Grade is a better term.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. For tier, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna grade them. So yeah, let me flip over. I actually, you know what? I got a PowerPoint for us tonight. So let's just go and pull that up.
Buckle up, kids.
Well, I think I got a PowerPoint for us tonight. Hold on.
Kelsey's extra. I love it.
Yep. I had a PowerPoint for us tonight. Hold on. Technical difficulties
Going
here.
back to class with the PowerPoint.
Yep. Oh, give me 1 second. You guys distract everybody while I fix the PowerPoint.
Hey, look at Sully.
So let me ask. Don't look at Sully. Hold on. Let me get my screen over here. So,
do we have any Jakeaholics in the chat?
Oh yeah, there you go. That's what
Jakeaholics right here.
Yeah. Do we have any Jakeaholics joining in?
My wife is asleep, so the other Jakeaholic might not be here.
All one of you, right?
Yeah, right.
So okay, so yeah. Let's talk about these different formats now. If you see a little picture floating around for our stream, I put 4 formats on there, but there's more than that, right? So let's talk about 2 broad categories first, right? There's constructed and there's limited when we talk about Lorcana, right? Constructed means you're going to build a deck prior to playing, and you're going to play the game with a deck that you have constructed ahead of time. And then there's limited play. Limited is basically you're going to come to the event and some type of product or the card pool is going to be provided for you. It's going to be a limited card pool. You don't get your collection. It may be limited to different sets or whatever. And there's different ways you can play the different formats by which you can use limited card pool to build a deck during the tournament, right? Or to build what you're going to play with during the tournament or during the event. I don't want to use the word tournament. Event's probably a better word. If I say tournament, I mean event. So tournament implies competitive play. Yes. Not everything's competitive, right? So let's talk first about limited. If you've been around for Lorcana, you probably dealt with some of the limited events. Let's start with the first one here, and that's sealed, right? If you've been to pre-release, then you have played in a sealed event. So sealed event is essentially for Lorcana, you're going to get 6 unopened packs of cards, and you're going to be given a certain amount of time, most likely 30 minutes, to rip those packs open and to build your deck out of the cards you get in those packs. Now, with pre-release, you also have one additional card because they give you a little card in the kit, the pre-release kit, that can be used in your card pool as well too. And essentially when you build your deck, you're not limited on ink colors. So we throw out the deck building rules for ink colors in limited. We also throw out the restrictions on the numbers of a copy of a card you can have in limited, right? Whatever's in your card pool is what you can use to make your deck. So sealed, you're essentially going to get 6 packs. You're going to open them. You're going to build a minimum 40 card deck out of those packs. So what do you guys think about the sealed format?
This is like the introduction to my Lorcana game. I started in the first chapter and I played in just like a normal seal with 6 packs instead of before they had the actual kit of pre-release. And I think it was just a fun little introduction to be able to learn how to play the game without having to actually use a meta deck that's more curated around a competitive scene. And I think it's good for that, and it's also good to just be able to open product too.
Okay. What about you, Rue?
So, I have mixed feelings about it. I do like it, and I'm not going to use this as kind of a soapbox to bash another format that I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment. But, it kind of feels like I'm paying to play with a bad deck because like you said earlier, not everything has to be competitive. Well, unfortunately for me, everything kind of is.
I was gonna say, for some people, yeah, it is
You
always
know,
just competitive.
Yeah.
and when I go into it, I really want to play with the best version of the deck that I can. And with sealed, opposed to like draft, I don't feel like I get that opportunity because most of my options are taken away. I put all my cards together, I remove all the uninkables that and then boom, I got my deck. Well, how can you build that? Well, you really can't, not too much, but you can still try to identify it and see what kind of synergies you can work with. But the sealed format, to me, I have mixed feelings about because you don't. To me, it takes away a lot of that creativity. Right? It certainly lets you leverage your expertise if you're a seasoned player, but it takes away a lot of the availability and a lot of the expertise. If you play sealed, you just pray for evasives and removal, and you win.
So my hot take on sealed is that's the best way to test somebody's skill. So I mean,
the deck building,
but it's not
perfect.
You have. But it's not perfect.
Yeah,
it's not perfect because the guy who is not as good player. So player A is the best player. Player B is second best player. If player B gets a card pool that has all these bombs in it, doesn't matter how good player A is, player B will probably win. So there is still this luck aspect of it, right?
Sure.
But it's the easiest way to test somebody's skill, I feel like. So let me back up. So we jumped the gun on some things. Let's talk about why formats really are important for the health of the game, right? So let's look at it. The question we ask ourselves is important to who, right? So there's important to me as a player, right? If you don't have players, then the game doesn't survive, right? It's also important to the company because why does the company exist? To make money, right? So if a format does not make money, should it be important to the company? Well, from a business standpoint, I would argue no, right? Now, it depends on how you look at it, right? If a format draws in additional players, is that good for the company? Well, I could argue that it can bring in as many players as you want, but if it's not causing them to buy new product, then it's not doing the company any good financially, right? So there's this fine line they have to walk as a company on what they support as formats. They want to keep the players happy, but they also got to make money. Otherwise, the game's going to go away, right? It has to be profitable. Then you look at the players, there's people who play for different reasons. Some people play competitive. Some people play casual. Some people collect. So the collectors want their cards to hold value, right? So certain formats aren't, if they're not popular. Let's look at card value for remember Rapunzel when you guys who were hanging around for a long time, right? At one point, Rapunzel was worth $50, $60 because everybody had her in her decks, right? From chapter 1, Rapunzel. How much is she worth now? $10, $15 maybe?
Yeah, maybe $10.
Because there's no way to play her that anybody wants to play, right?
Yep.
So how do you solve that problem? That's the problem that when you look at a company, they're like, you want to, when you create cards, you always want the cards to be relevant. Even if they rotate out, even if you have rotation and rotate out, you have to figure out a way for them to be relevant in order for collections to maintain value. Because if you have product that just disappears and nobody ever uses it again, then why would people invest in it, right? If they know their stuff's going to lose value, right? So that's, again, that fine line you walk, right? And so the key to me is to find a format where all of your cards, to find a format or multiple formats where all your cards have value between all of them put together, right? From the beginning to end. That's why I think Infinity has a place in some way, shape, or form. Not the existing
new format that we could talk
maybe,
about.
Maybe.
Might be the new version of that.
So let's go to sealed though, right? Sealed doesn't mean any of this except for one thing. It makes the company money, right? Because you're rushing to buy new product. And as Ruth stated, for him, okay, not the most challenging, not the most exciting. But my favorite part of sealed is just ripping my packs open. See what I got, right? So
1,000,000%.
Yeah,
I'm there for the packs.
That's right.
So doing a mid rotation or a mid,
very important.
People do that in the middle of a league day. So I am not interested. I don't want it.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask a question, right? Will each one of you, when the set comes out, buy a box of cards, at least one box of cards?
one case of cards.
One case.
I'm gonna buy probably a few cases.
Yeah, a few cases, right. Okay, you got plenty of cards.
I can find it,
right? If you find it, right? You're going to get your cards, right? So, would you buy extra just to play a pre-release event?
Yeah.
Let's say you're like me and
More
Andrew
packs.
and Jake. We're all married, right? And our wives give us a budget, and they say you could buy 4 boxes of cards. Would you go and talk your wife? Can I just have a little bit extra to go play Sealed, to go do a pre-release event? I think they hit a home run with that one, to be honest with you. So
yeah, she can come with.
I think Sealed.
And she can get her version too.
It's just great for the community.
Yeah,
I think it really brings everybody together to experience the opening together.
I was gonna say
yes.
In the first week of the new set, everyone rejoices and it's like, hey, this is the new set. Look what we can all open. Like, let's open a lot of product. We're all gonna be opening it. We can use these packs. We can play a few games, even if it's not super competitive. Maybe even people don't play it and just people want to open the packs. It's
you rip and Enchanted with all your friends. And
yeah.
It's the best.
This is amazing.
All right, so I'm going to do something here real quick, live and on the fly here. I'm going to edit a screen, everybody. So I'm sorry because I gotta do this in order to pull up our tier list. Okay, so you get to see live and on the fly, right? So let me see here. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do it. I'm not sure yet. Hold on. Oh, man. You know what they did? They changed the doggone layout of this thing. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's see if I get lucky on this one. Turds. All right. We're not going to have a tier list. So I'm not going to sit here and go through this in the middle of the stream and embarrass myself.
Well,
let's grade it, right?
List, we can
grade it. Let's grade it.
We don't need an official tier list to know we're in
A, B, C, D, and F, right? Just like school. No A pluses, no B pluses. Let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, sealed format. Where do you guys give that on your grading scale? So, I would say A and B means the company should invest in the format, right? And continue to support it. C means, it doesn't matter. D, I don't care. F, get rid of it, right?
Well, can we put multiple on the same rating?
Yeah. Do we have an S too?
Where do you get S
share
from?
A rating?
What kind of school did you go to where you just get S? You one of those pass-fail schools? You got a participation prize, didn't you, Jake?
S tier? No.
S tier. There is no S tier. We're grading A, B, C, D.
All right. If A is the top, then I would say this is B.
A is the valedictorian of the class. What? No, hold on. Hold on. No. They're not relative to one another. They stand alone.
Okay.
Yeah. So no.
So they can share a rating. Yeah, I'm good with B. I'll go with B.
I am also good with B.
So B means,
I can see its flaws.
It's Ravensburger should continue to support it in some format, in some way, sealed format.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Let's do our next one. It's another limited format. Okay, and that's draft format. So the same concept as sealed, except in draft. And even though I got the wrong amount of packs on the screen, you get 4 packs. And in draft, the interesting thing about that is you build your deck by opening 1 pack at a time, picking a card from that pack, and then passing the pack first to your right, at which point you're going to get a pack from the person to your left, -1 card. And then you're going to pick another card, and you're just going to keep passing around the table until you pick all the cards in that pack. Then you're going to open your next pack, do the same thing except pass left, and then the next pack, pass right, pass left. So in the end, you're going to have roughly 48 cards to build a 35-card deck. Okay? No deck limit, no restrictions on deck building other than the cards that you picked. So that's the way draft is played. That's the way you build your deck. Again, you don't need product. You come, you pay your entry fee, which is probably the price of these packs, and then you just go from there. So what do you guys think about the draft format?
I like the draft more than sealed, personally, because it allows me to be more creative with my deck building. However, I do want to say that I think that draft does prey a little bit on newer players. They don't really know what they're doing. I think it certainly punishes them a little bit. So that's why I prefer to do sealed in my pre-release as opposed to draft, because I don't think draft is entirely fair to newer players. But as a a seasoned player, I do think that it's more fun to play draft, but just not necessarily as good for the community.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I agree. I think some other games really take draft and run with it and use that as their main form of limited and instead of sealed. And I think Lorcana has maybe taken sealed and used
Mm-hmm.
that as their maybe more of a main form of limited instead of draft. I just personally in our community we don't see draft as much, and I do like sealed a little bit more. I would say just only
Mm-hmm.
because I don't get to play draft as much, but I can definitely see the expression that you can have in deck building and being able to draft specific cards, be able to like curate your deck better instead of having just whatever is given to you. Yes, you can technically play with more packs that way.
Mm-hmm. I think to Rue's point, you know, you made a good comment, a very astute comment that in other games, draft is the preferred format for limited, whereas in Lorcana, I'm going to argue it's not sealed, but sealed is more supported than draft. Right.
Yeah.
So,
which I guess is to benefit newer players and more
right.
like, I guess there are more newer TCG players of Lorcana than there are of like, say, the other game.
Yeah. Sealed is like, it's not as skill intensive, right? Draft is a more skill intensive limited format because not only does it test your playing skill, it tests your card selection skill. Right.
And ability to identify good cards.
Right.
Compared
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because you might and when to take that card, not just to take it, but when, because some cards you could take a chance and punt and it might come back around the table to you, right? If you're fortunate enough, right? And
to know like what other archetypes other people might be taking of other packs that other people have and what they're taking. Yeah.
To me, sealed is fairly easy because I've got my 60 cards. I take my 40 best ones that go together, right? I don't have to make many decisions there. I just rule out 20 cards, right? But draft, I'm ruling out the first pick. I'm ruling out 11 other cards from the get-go. And then I'm ruling out 10. Then I'm ruling out 9. Ruling out those cards weighs on your mind heavily as you progress through the draft, you know? So, and then
you got to choose if you're going to take the $20 card or if you're going to play to win.
You just take the rares.
Do I want to win the draft or did I come to rare draft? Right.
Right.
Agreed. Do I want product or?
Right. Now, I don't think anybody, if you see an epic or an enchanted, they're going, well, there goes my draft. Hopefully it's a playable one.
Nobody's sending it on.
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
You just take the epic. So it's not even playable.
I'll tell you this story. The very first draft that I did for Lorcana, somebody opened an enchanted and passed it, and we had to make them take it back. They were a new player. They didn't know. They were interested in the characters of the game and all that, and we made them take it back. We said, hey, well, if you really want this card, why don't you just put another pack in the pool and set this, do whatever, because it's just like, you don't want to pass this card up here. So they were wanting that card, the other card for their collection. They didn't really care about the enchanted. It was
wow.
Yeah. It was a pretty, I don't know. It was kind of a surreal experience, to be honest with you. So, but, yeah, draft and sealed both are supported at the DLCs. People, I noticed that more seasoned players will play draft only if it's on demand. I don't see many people doing draft as a scheduled event, right? And so they'll go in, draft real quick, and then a lot of times they'll just drop. I mean, to be honest with you. Yeah. I see a lot of people who are new to the game and more novice players at the DLCs playing the sealed events, and they'll stick with it. They'll play their cards, and I like limited. Let me go one more. Let me do one more format in limited, which is unique to Lorcana, and that's Pack Rush. Okay. So Pack Rush is very popular at the DLCs, mainly because, I'm just going to say it, nobody likes to hear it, people farm tickets with it. Now, when you do Pack Rush at your local stores, what do you think about this format? So let me tell people what Pack Rush is. Hold on. Pack Rush is you get 2 packs, you open both packs, You take your ink token out, or not your ink token, your puzzle piece out, or whatever. You'll have 2 of them. You set them down. They count as ink. So you start the game with 2 ink. You shuffle your cards without looking at them. You draw 5 cards, and you play a single game of Lorcana to 15 lore, not 20, to 15 lore. If you draw the last card of your deck, and you need to draw again, you do not lose the game. You simply shuffle your discard pile back into your deck, and you continue to play. So that's happened a couple times playing it, but not often. And so the Pack Rush format, what do you guys think of that?
We didn't also rate the other one.
Oh, we didn't. No.
Draft.
B.
I would say it's also B because it's the same as
B
Sealed,
for draft?
in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, going with
so
B.
we got B for Sealed, B for Draft. Okay. Yeah, they need to continue to support it. Okay. How about that? How about Pack Rush?
Yeah, you can go first.
I liked Pack Rush. I wish that they did more. I remember when they did a Valentine's Day Pack Rush, and that was some time ago. And that was fun. You came in, you got your packs, you sat down. I know I did that with my wife, who was just getting into the game, and it just felt fun. It felt like an experience that you come and share. It didn't take entirely too long. You got a few packs out of it, and you went home. I thought it was a really cool way to kind of introduce people into the game without it being super imposing by having these humongous decks. So I did like that, which leads me to believe that I would probably put this at an A myself, because I know that I shared an experience with my wife doing it. I know hopefully others can have that type of memorable experience with some, their significant others, whatever it may be. And I just thought that it created a real unique experience that I haven't got from other limited formats.
Okay. How about you, Jake?
I'd probably keep it on the scale of B as well, just for like limited formats. But I would say I like the addition of like having it as a quick mode to play, where instead of having like a full event where it's a draft or a sealed, where it's like, okay, you have to have this full 45 to an hour minute or hour like draft or build time, and then you have to have like a 3 to 4 hour event afterwards with multiple rounds, and there's like round timers where they have time afterwards, and it becomes a full day event, where this could be something where you get your packs and then you're able to just play at your own not leisure, I guess, but because I haven't had any full events for this. Are there like specific like actually like rounds for this too, or no?
No, not really.
Well,
it's casual format.
So, well, hold on. Let me back that up for a minute. When I was in
because
Ghent,
I know in the DLC I played this, and they also had.
So in Ghent, the way they did Pack Rush in Ghent was you had a pod of 4 people, and you sat down and you actually played 3 rounds. Everybody played against each other. So the game of Pack Rush itself did not change, but the way it was executed in order to award prizing did. So that's kind of like, it's different, right? But that goes back to a question, right? So I let me go back real quick. So in Sealed, Ravensburger showed their support for the Sealed format by creating pre-release kits, right? They went above and beyond the 6 packs, because anybody could get a booster box and give everybody 6 packs and have a Sealed event. But they added further support by creating these pre-release promos, right? And I know it's for pre-release, but I'm going to say they supported the format that way. They haven't done anything like that for draft, right? Should something like that exist for draft? If so, what would it be? And so,
my personal opinion is that they did choose Sealed as their format, and that's what they're going to support that way, in that direction, and then just keep draft as to, if people want to do that, you have your packs, you can still do it.
I don't think draft would have that much support. I think I think Sealed is probably the most favorable.
And for Pack Rush, I don't think you should do. I think Pack Rush is perfect because it's simple. Right. I don't think they should change anything about Pack Rush.
Except do it more. Send us packs. Let us do it.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm
like
in agreement with that.
Incentivize the store a little bit more to like get that going. Because I feel like a lot of them around here have maybe even just took the packs and just didn't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, I think that they kind of moved toward the collection quests a little bit to try to drive engagement, and I don't find as much excitement in that, because you're not really teaching anybody to play. You're just trading cards. It's not really driving people to continue.
Your excitement from that is getting your promo.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think the promo selection, not that it's not there, I just feel like depends on the specific promo and the specific collection quest that they've been doing. Is just reused promos, or it's
don't give me that Minnie Mouse again. I
let's
got
do
like
the same one
30 of
that I'm
those.
like they're not gonna incentivize me to go if I'm
Okay.
gonna look at it and they're like, oh, you get this new promo, and I'm like, I have a bunch of those already, so I'm not gonna like want to actually go out of my way to do it.
That bell is nice though.
So we gave limited 30 minutes of our time for 3 tiny formats here. All right. So, you know, if you know of any other limited formats, and I'm not talking about variations of draft, because there's things like chaos draft and there's different ways to do seal. But in the end, those formats are pretty much your big ways of doing it. If there's another way that you know about that we don't, feel free to drop that in the chat. Be happy to discuss it. If you're watching the video on YouTube, you know, drop it in our discussion there, and you know, love to further the discussion on that. Let's move on to the constructed format. So the constructed format, just as a reminder, is you come to the game with a deck already built to play against other Illumineers. Now, the most obvious and I would say the most popular way of playing constructed is core constructed, which with set rotation. The set rotation basically means that when you play core constructed, you are going to be limited to certain sets to pull your cards from, and core constructed uses sets from the last, I'm going to say 2 years worth of sets. So Lorcana releases sets, 4 sets a year. And starting in October, the set that's released in October, that's set 1, and then 1 in January is 2, and then 3, and then 4, right? And then October comes around the next year. Now you're in a new block of 4, and they'll rotate out the previous year's 4. So when rotation happens, you really only have 5 sets to start off with at rotation. And that's what you build a deck out of. So what do you guys think of core constructed?
Oh, it's an A.
Yeah,
that's that S tier you were talking about.
That's I would say, yeah. It was the main way to play for the longest time too. I guess. I mean, I think the way that they kind of introduced you, besides some of people like doing limited, I guess, is just people started making decks out of the cards that they had and started just playing people. And I think that that's the direction that it's taken, and people just attached onto that. And since they have been supporting this heavily, I feel like this is like didn't really know where to go, I guess, until now recently, I guess. But Infinity, the other one, it wasn't as supported and it wasn't as liked, so I feel like this is definitely the way to go. So I guess if we're having S, we'll say that. But
when it comes to core constructed, a lot of the reasons I'm going to put certain formats and certain grades is because if I think it's going to be good, better for the community or for the adoption of new players, those types of things. I do think that core constructed is an easier entry point for a lot of our newer players. So I'm always going to rate that a little higher. So I do like that, you know, newer players can come in, they can familiarize themselves with a smaller card pool. They're not going to be, you know, taken advantage of by players that's been here for 2 years or whatnot, and you know has vast knowledge and you know infinite cards. I think that this is a really good place for people to kind of get into it. So I like core just because I think it helps the community a bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think core. What were we gonna say?
No, you go ahead.
I just think core is definitely the main. I guess it's not like the entry point, because people who are into the game for a while too, I feel like would attach more to Infinity just because they have the cards already and they don't want to rotate necessarily as much. But I feel like
don't compare to others. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not fair.
Hey, no, you're right.
You got to stand alone, right? The cheese stands alone here, right?
Well, then, yeah, I would say core is better than.
we're not saying they're better than some. We're grading them on their own, right? So
very true.
Let's go to it, right? Core is the moneymaker, right? It is how they sell their new product. It is what makes people excited. It's what drives the value of cards right now.
The card prices are definitely
outside of chase cards like Enchanteds or Iconics, which they are driven by collector value, right? Or or whatever character they choose. But playing value is driven by core constructed. right? I cited this earlier in the stream. Rapunzel, right? At one point was one of the most playable cards in the most popular format, the only supported format they had, and it was upwards of $50-$60. Once it rotated out of the core format and they created the first rotation they created, Rapunzel went out. And her value is now $10 to $15. And so core is what drives the value of cards. If you don't believe me, go see how much an Angel cost, or a Demona, or a Hades,
Pocahontas.
or Pocahontas, right? And then see how much they cost when they rotate out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what drives. And so the collectors, I always tell people this, right? I'll just say it. If you're one who wants to get maximum value out of your collection, about 3 months before a card rotates out, sell it. So that's the best way to get it, because you've played with it as long as you can play with it to get its value. The closer you get to rotation, the more that value is going to drop. And so right when the very last set is released, that's when you sell it. So that's going to be at maximum value.
That is true for rotation too, but you do see certain instances like when we had our first rotation, we had Tiana come back in, and it was really good for a while. But it was like, it's still in there. No, it's not anymore actually. But like, it was there for a while. But even towards the end of our like Wilds Unknown, you didn't see that as much, so it kind of dropped in the price there too.
Oh, I shamefully bought it at the high.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel it got me.
I
think I had a bunch of them, and I was like, oh, this is just now $20 for some reason.
Out the door.
I didn't.
No, it's
I should have. I mean, I definitely. It was the card that everyone was like, oh, now I need that. So I was like, I got a bunch of them. So whatever.
Well, core is the most supported format. It's the format of choice for Ravensburger as well for competitive play. So it
is it?
Yes. If you go to the DLCs, it is.
So, yeah, but I need more DLCs. That's core.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's their most supported. I didn't say it was their only supported one.
Yeah.
So because we did have one in Infinity
for support.
Mm-hmm. We're not talking about
they had the one. I think it was like a pity though. It didn't even seem like it was fully.
What's that?
The support for Infinity when it comes to DLC. It was just like, oh, you can have this one and maybe that.
Ravensburger supported it just like they supported any other. The players just didn't support it by showing up. You know, so you can't blame Ravensburger on that one.
I feel like they also didn't announce immediately that it was an Infinity.
They banned Hiram. Is it because they banned Hiram?
I don't think we will blame them at this point. For
sure. We were very vocal about not liking Infinity, and I know that a lot of. Sorry, we're not on Infinity yet. We're not on Infinity yet.
Let's talk about core, right? Core adds
my
value
introduction to like just competitive TCG in general. So I feel like that's a huge up for me. I love it.
Outside of your, enchanteds and your iconics, core is what gives your collection value, right? So if you're somebody who likes looking at the value of your cards, then you like core, right? I like
get the ones to play with.
I like core because the format can constantly rotate, so it's easier to deal with to prevent stale formats. The same decks winning over and over again without having to ban stuff. You just ride out a bad card, an overpowered card, and then it eventually will rotate out. So let's talk about Infinity, because we've already kind of been hitting at it, right? So
I know Rue does.
Go ahead, Rue. Infinity format. For those who don't know what Infinity format is, Infinity format is you build a constructed deck from all the sets ever produced in Lorcana, minus its ban list, which right now just consists of one card, and that's Hiram Flaversham. So, although I can technically, I don't know,
I don't want to say he would be okay.
Bucky. I miss Bucky.
Yeah, but like,
bring him back.
That wasn't even. It's like,
yeah. So go ahead, Infinity format. What do you guys think?
I'll let Jake go first.
All right, yeah, that's a good idea. So I will say that my first DLC was Infinity. So I have a little bit, not like a soft spot for it, because I actually didn't necessarily like it. It was nice to play with some of the older cards that I have been playing with since chapter 1, because I've been playing since the beginning. So it was nice to go back to that, and it was nice, as I said previously, no one heard me on that, but it's nice that the community kind of got together and was like, all right, maybe we're gonna play Infinity for this DLC. I know it wasn't as many people, but like people were able to support
They
others
gave
and
it
be
a
like, hey,
chance.
we can
Some
practice
did.
Infinity together. Like, yeah, let's do it. This is what's gonna happen. Like, it's nice to see what's good. And since people were saying that Dogs is really good in core and it could just really translate into Infinity really well, I think people built around that really well and were able to highlight other decks and show off other things instead of just playing that same deck.
So
So
let
yeah.
me ask this question, right? If you're not involved in competitive play, right? If you're kitchen table playing, do you have a problem with Infinity?
I think if you're
No.
kitchen table play, I feel like you're playing Infinity to a point because you're not really abiding by the
That's
rules
my
of
point, right? It's like,
rotation and
Even in my
whatever,
local leagues, bring what you want.
yeah,
We'll play.
Yeah.
right. That's my point, right? And
If we're
so,
playing the game.
right, we're talking about when we look at these and we value them and we grade them, there's lots of things we look at. Like for competitive play, Infinity's not very popular and not good. For kitchen table play, it's probably the format of choice, right? Because people just play with anything out of their collection. A new player who happened to buy Arcasia's Island doesn't want to hear they can't play with their bulk cards, right? If they like bulk, they're
still selling Arcasia's Island, Reign of Jafar, all these cards and all this product in Disney World right now. So if you go in there, go to Disney and get introduced, hey, this is this game Lorcana, and I buy that, you can't play with them technically.
Infinity, I would dare say, is only a problem amongst competitive players. And that's it. I don't think it's a problem with anybody else. And the competitive players are the ones who are creating content. And so therefore it seems like it's a problem for everybody, you know?
They'll follow the core.
So I just think I get it. It probably shouldn't be used for competitive play. I would probably agree with that. If you want people to show up to the events that are playing.
But then how does Ravensburger support it then? If we don't do it competitive play, they have the DLC, people didn't show up. That's not the way to do it.
It's a good question.
Then what should we do
what would that support look like? You like you look at the game that shall not be named. They support one of their formats, Modern, by producing a product specifically that says the cards in this product can only be played in that format. It's a new product, but the cards can only be played in that format. In other words, they can't go in your core constructed format.
So yeah,
they'll print out overpowered cards, right? Yeah. But why? The question is, what reason is there to support it, right? And to me, the only reason really to support a format for, Ravensburger, if they're not going to make money off of it, is because you always want the cards to always be relevant, right? And so if you can find an alternative to making the cards relevant, then you can do away with this, right? But again, it goes back to why. Like, is there a way to make all of my cards relevant in competitive play? That's what Infinity tries to do, and it didn't succeed very well at it, right?
Yeah.
Infinity, you know how I feel about it.
I don't. Tell me.
Tell everybody. We'll tell everybody. I think it's an F. I think it needs to get on out of here. No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I do like that there are people that are doing it, and it seems like it's a lot of the less competitive people that are doing it. To your point, I do agree with that. But it didn't really set right with me. It didn't set right with me that all those challenges were Infinity, especially when you're looking at it from the aspect of people that want to do both the challenges and they want to do the set championships or core constructed. So they're having to choose between which deck they're wanting to leverage their time to play. So I feel like although we did push Infinity, it kind of ostracized people that wanted to play core too, because you had to pick, because we were rewarding the local scene with core constructed and the more competitive scene with Infinity, but I know everybody wanted to get those play mats too. So it was just kind of was sending a mixed message to me, and I know people were really pushing it. A lot of the content creators were really speaking favorably about it because, frankly, we want to try to be as positive as we can. But I do recall looking in all those chats, and people are like, "Can't make me like it. Can't make me do it." So I was one of them.
I'm gonna give you guys a hot take. For competitive play, here's my suggestion. for how you have exciting play and make all your cards relevant. You have a curated format. And the curated format can be just your core stuff, right? Your last 2 blocks, like they're already doing it. And I'm going to just pick a random number here. 5 random sets from before. And every year you change those 5 sets, right? And you rotate your card. That way your cards, while they may have lost value temporarily and lost relevance temporarily, they do not permanently lose relevance because they can come back. I like this idea too, not just because I thought of it, but but it gives the designers and the developers room to play. If they know which 5 sets are coming, but they've kept it secret, they might create some cool cards to interact with a card that never got to see its time in the sun, right? How many cool Captain Hook cards did we not play with because Elsa took up the 5 spot instead of my Captain Hook card, right?
I smell market manipulation coming a mile away with that idea.
Yeah, you know it, buddy, right? So yeah. So my point being is that there's so many things you can do with a curated format. How about this for marketing, right? You have a big reveal show on what the sets are. You know how many people will pay attention to that? You do a Lorecast and say, this week, we're going to reveal the first set that's going to rotate in October. And then the next week, they reveal set 2. And then the next week, all of a sudden, you watch cards whose prices were down at, 50 cents.
Now they're
go up to $10, $12, right?
$20 cards.
Speculate, right? Your cards are shooting up in
value again, right? All you have to do is watch
TCG
players see what cards are being bought up to know.
That's right. That's right.
Early.
They had the big reveal, man. You talking about people wanting to tune into this cast to see what the new sets are, and then they go back. What was in this set? Now they're looking at it's almost like they get to produce brand new cards for free because they're already made. They get to make them exciting again. And you get to find combinations that you never would find. Because right now we know in Infinity, there's certain decks that are powerful and nobody's ever going to play anything other than those powerful decks, right? But if you take certain cards away out of those decks, then you might find new combinations and new things could shine. What if you did a dogs deck without Tramp, right? Could that exist? You never know, right? So
I think, regardless of the introduction to like having multiple sets just being in like paired in together, I think just Infinity as a whole, the longevity of like the game and having the interaction with a set 1 card to a set 20 something card, I feel like it introduces like so much deck building throughout like the entirety of the game. So I feel like people can definitely dig into that if they wanted to be able to have some nice deck building as well too, as compared to like kind of a competitive thing maybe.
I do like the flexibility that Infinity offers, but one of my main points is that I stand behind is that that flexibility is an illusion. Right, we're going to build it with the same cards. You get a set. There's 3 powerful cards.
Right, that's the point. That's why I think
you're right.
That's why I think you need a curated format, right? It's like if you took, if like all of a sudden the staple card in a certain deck disappeared, right? Could we find something to replace it? Or now another deck would get to shine. Just like Core, they do it with Core, right? Essentially, but it allows your old cards to kind of be a part of it. And
there's another way to do that, Kelsey. The word that dare not speak its name, ban list. I would be much more interested in Infinity if we had a rotating ban list. Not calling for a ban on any specific card.
Yeah.
But if we're not going to have your curated format, I think that it'd be really cool to take some of those more prevalent cards out of play.
Yeah.
For some more creativity. I would be about that.
Maybe.
Don't want to ban.
Me? I
love
it. Depends.
I love rotation.
I think
let's get rid of them.
Yeah, if you can curate it, you don't need a ban list.
For you.
Yeah.
I think if you curate it, you don't need a ban list. So
fair. I want one of the two. And that's what would get me into Infinity.
What if you could put Hiram in without Popsicle somehow, right? So now Hiram might be really playable if Popsicle weren't around, right?
I don't know. I'd hate to see Hiram right now in that that all items deck that people are playing.
Well, we'll never know is the problem. I got one card that I'll never know about.
I don't know if Popsicle's the problem anymore.
He's banning Infinity.
Right?
Hiram reprint.
I want an opportunity to see how bad he can be.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's crank it up to 10.
Yeah, I want to see it. But even like in my local store, I can't play Hiram because there's no format that allows him. other than heroic.
Come play with me. Bring your Hirams.
Well, yeah, you and I can play casually, but I want to show up to a competitive format and slap him down in front of some new player and say, "You don't know pain yet, buddy. You're about to find out."
I'll play and
willpower. Nobody knows.
It's 6.
That's like
is it 6? That's even worse. Yeah, that's right, because he couldn't be Thunderbolted.
You hear the stories of what Bucky used to be, and none of these new kids will ever know.
Pair him with a Dale. Let's go to town.
So,
oh my golly.
Okay, so for competitive constructed, our two main formats are Core and Infinity. I would argue they need a curated one. Maybe we get it one day. I don't know. If we yell out enough.
Yeah. Give it a number.
Of Infinity?
Yeah.
For competitive, F. For casual, an A, because people want to play with the cards they get regardless.
I agree.
So
I'd say C.
Yeah. C? Yeah.
See you out of here.
Yep. All right. So we're still in constructed, but these are more geared right now towards casual play. In fact, this next format was designed specifically for casual play, and that's the heroic format. Now, this has different iterations of it. I'll just give you the gist of it. Heroic is you have a 100-card deck, one copy of each card in the deck. You cannot have more than one copy. You have what you call your storyboard, which has 3 cards in it. It has a hero or a villain. It has an ally card, and it has a song card. The colors on those 3 cards define the colors you can put in your deck. During the game, you may play a card or sing the song in your storyboard for its regular cost, but then each time it leaves play, it goes back to the storyboard, and the cost, it goes up by 1 or 2. I'm not sure. I can't remember. The cost for all of them go up by 1. So if I play, like in this picture here, we got Elsa, Let It Go, and Tinkerbell. If I play Tinkerbell and then she goes back to the storyboard, then Elsa's going to cost 9. Right. So that's the way they play it. I could have butchered that, but that's the point. People like this format because, first of all, it's just single copies of a card make you have to really think about what you're going to include in your deck, and it allows you to theme your deck out, because a lot of times people just pick the 15 best cards and put 4 copies of them in, and they're only really playing with 15 cards in a 60-card deck. This, you're going to play with 99 different cards, 100 different cards. So the game that shall not be named has a commander version of this. It's kind of, I'm not going to go over those rules, but that was also a homegrown, player-initiated format that that company that runs that game realized it was money to be made in it. And when they did it, the value of certain irrelevant cards skyrocketed because they were relevant in this format. Especially if like foil versions of them, because if you have one copy, you want the best copy, right? So foils and enchanteds all of a sudden skyrocket. So, have you guys played Heroic at all?
Yeah, I've not personally played this, but
I have not played it either. Mainly because one, it's not officially recognized, and 2, I'm not sleeving up 100 random cards. It's not officially recognized.
What is this with officially recognized?
I'm sure it's a ton of fun,
right?
But if it's not competitively viable, I'm a competitive player.
Rue is carrying the torch for Ravensburger. It's not official. We're not talking about it.
I do not think I've ever been in a room with other players who have had a heroic deck on them either. So wouldn't be worth it for me.
And you know what?
To do that
I think you have a valid point.
Dedicated groups to it, I'm sure.
I think you have a valid point about it, because, like, unless I'm building a puppy deck, I don't want to sleeve up 99 cards.
Right.
And the puppy deck, I want to sleeve them in puppy sleeves and nothing else. So, it's you're right. And it's a bulky deck. I like the ideal behind it. Yeah, I give it a C. Well, let's look at the next one, which was the one that was, Jake, what do you give this?
Lower, because I know that there's
What do you give Heroic? Jake?
I'll say D.
Okay. I'm going to give it a C because it serves a purpose, but I think it's about to be usurped. And that's from our next choice in here. And that is the coconut format. So the coconut format, which is probably not going to be its name, that's just probably the code word for it. Ravensburger play tested this at Gen Con in Indianapolis in the last couple of weeks, or whenever Gen Con was. And this format, essentially they took some cards that we already know, and they changed up the text on them a little bit. Now, if you want to know what those cards are, if you have the Lorcana app on your phone, you can go in there and pick up your lore counter, and then they'll show you the cards for this format. But essentially, you choose one of these cards to be your coconut, and you build your deck around that card. A 60-card deck with one copy of each, a singleton deck, one copy of each card in your deck, except for the card that you chose as your coconut, which can have up to 4 copies of that card in. So if I choose Ariel, I can have 4 of Ariel Spectacular Singer in my deck, and then the other 56 cards have to be one-ofs. And then you play a multiplayer game with this. That's the way coconut format was at Gen Con, to 25 lore. So that is the coconut format. And so I haven't played it yet, but I want to. So
I haven't either, but I want to.
What about you, Rue? What do you think?
I haven't played it yet, but I do also want to. I think that there is more room for coconut because, as we've seen up to this point, a lot of these cards have text, chosen player, so many things that we've been kind of waiting to see integrate into the game has kind of been brought into the fold with coconut. So I'm excited to see how that can play with other people, larger formats, multiplayer, or how we can utilize old cards in new ways. I'm excited for that.
Yes.
I think it beats Infinity. I sure think it beats Heroic.
Well,
to me.
would you support? Now, you made a comment to me, Rue, in our personal private chat before this, and you said, we're talking about coconut. I like it, but I don't think it's the answer. That was the gist of it, right? So,
when sort of. Let me. Infinity. So yes, so I know we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I don't think that the answer is to start doing coconut DLCs right now. I think that the answer is to go back to core.
Yes,
but I do think that this is a really cool format that could help with the game, and being able to play with more than one person at a time is also very exciting to me. I know a lot of times we have people sitting out, right? We play in a 2-player format, and we have a third player over here that's kind of bored to death as we play, best of 3. So being able to bring them into the fold and play with them, I think is actually really cool for the community. A lot of things that I'm going to say is like, if it's good for the community, I'm excited for it.
This is
being good for the community.
A format that's not necessarily for brand new players, right? You have to have a collection of 60 cards that can kind of be cohesive in order to build a deck like this, right? But you're right. I think it allows cards that never got to see their time in the sun shine, right?
The singleton is a nice addition as well too. I like
that. So to your point, and we made this point earlier, like when we talk about supporting it, what's your reason for supporting it, right? For competitive play, you're right. I don't believe this is the answer. Like we could do local tournaments with this and maybe side events, with it.
Sure.
But I don't want to determine big prizing, DLC level pricing with coconut, right?
People are gonna get their feelings hurt.
Yeah,
get ganged up on.
Right. Now, I'll tell you this: one of my favorite experiences at a DLC, and I talked about this a couple shows ago, was in Indy. During this, I was the head judge of a multiplayer side event, and this one guy, and I showed his picture on the screen here. I think you were on the show, Jake, so you probably remember this. And I don't remember the card, but he came specifically ready to play multiplayer format, not just a constructed deck and he jumped in a game with 3 other people. No, he built his deck for multiplayer, and he played a card, the card that said, everybody flips over the top card of their deck. And if it's a character card, they may put it into play for free. And to just see the excitement on the other player's face from a card he played to like do the big reveal of what they're going to do. Oh, I get to put Elsa in play, or, oh, I got a popsicle. I can't put that in play, and it was right. He lost gloriously, by the way.
You have a great time doing it.
But he had a great time.
You get to play with fun cards.
Yeah. And he even played the John Smith. He had 2 John Smiths in his deck. So that every time the opponents did an ability or an action, he had to target his John Smith. Like, this is the stuff for multiplayer that you love, that people like, how can I abuse multiplayer format and how can I have fun with it? I love that. I love people thinking like that. And I think this allows that to happen. Right. And it gives Ravensburger an official way to support the format, because these cards that are the coconut cards don't exist anywhere yet. So they could be creative and create new product. They can sell it in a different package, like, a coconut deck, pre-constructed coconut decks, right? To get your coconut cards, right? So yeah, I like it.
I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B.
Yeah, I'll say.
And I haven't played it yet. Maybe optimistic B.
So I'm going to give it an A in concept and a B in execution right now, because I think it can be better.
I would also agree. Yeah. I just the addition to multiplayer in general, I think is great, and I really want to have that. So I'm going to be very optimistic about this.
Optimistic. There we go. All right.
I'm still giving it a B because I think A should be primary. I think core constructed to be at the top right now until you
prove
to me otherwise.
They stand alone, right? They're not relative. Like core.
I definitely see this.
Core should always be supported, right? It should always be supported. It gets an A. I think this should always be supported. I think they might have found what they need, because you got core constructed for competitive play, and I think this is your A for casual play. Is what I think. So, limited is limited. Limited is just there to push new product. That's it. That's the way I look at limited, to be honest with you. So, all right. So we've unloaded a lot. We introduced you to the curated format that I would say, Ravensburger, pick it up. I'll let you have it. I won't charge you for it. I think you can make core. I think you can make competitive play really interested with the curated format like that. Really challenge people, drive up, keep all of our cards relevant, in value. So it'd be nice at some point anyways. Right. All right. One last thing before I go, I got to pull up my matified. Good gracious, man. Am I like all over the place tonight with the way my screens look?
No.
Lord have mercy.
Hey,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those of you who are watching. All right. It's jacked up and off centered, but go to matified.com and check out what they got there. For Craig and them, they foil out play mats custom. They also they'll take your existing play mats and they'll foil them out for you if you want. Yeah, so wonderful people. You see people with DLCs with these mats all the time, and like local events like Charlie CC Collectibles, they're giving out as prizes and things like that. Yeah, go there, just check them out, man. Support them. We don't get anything if you support them. Just they're our friends, and I want to see them successful. Okay, all right. Party shots, Jake. Any party shots before we go?
No, I'm about to sleeve up some coconut cards, honestly.
All right. Yeah. How about you, Rue?
No, nothing to add from me. Just appreciate you guys letting me on the show today.
And we appreciate you filling in for Sabrina. Sabrina, we miss you. So, folks, we got DLCs coming up, and I hope we get to see you all there. By the way, I will be judging both in Anaheim and the EU Championship this year. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Fun. So very cool. Yeah, it was my dream to judge at the EU, and dream fulfilled. So that's my Super Bowl. It's my Super Bowl as a judge. So
let's go.
Mine personally, others probably the Worlds, but for me it was the EU. So
true.
I won't turn down Worlds if I get invited to go do that. But I have it with EU. So I love going over there, and I love the judging community over there. I love mine too, but I like learning different ways of doing things. So it's pretty cool. All right, everybody. We appreciate you joining with us tonight. Go out and support that coconut format, man. Check it out in your app. Let Ravensburger know what you think about it. They are looking to improve it. They did their first test run of it and play test. I'm sure they got plenty of feedback. They'll probably come back with it tweaked, and who knows, maybe some coconut cards will show up as puzzle pieces in our packs in the near future. So we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
See ya.
See ya.
Guys.